I am so sorry for the delay. The enemy must be upset with what Cierra is going to have to share with you guys today because I was having all types of technical difficulties. There's static in the background when she joined. There was just a lot going on. So, you know what I always say, when the enemy makes it hard to do it, that gives you more reason to go ahead, go forth and do it. So, here I am, and soon joining me will be Cierra. But we are going to be talking about Prayerpy and what is Prayerpy, why do people call you the Prayerpist, and all of that good stuff. So let me see here. I just want to make sure that you guys can see me on the screen. But I am Destiny Thomas. Hi, Latrice. I am Destiny Thomas, but most of my clients know me as the Prayerpist. And the reason why they call me that is because I conduct one-on-one and or group sessions that are very similar to therapy or life coaching. And yes, I can say that because I've done both. But the difference between my sessions and therapy and life coaching is my sessions are completely led by the Holy Spirit. And what that means is when I went to therapy, what they do is they ask you a lot of questions and ask you to kind of dig deep and answering those questions. And they bring a lot of things to the surface, but after therapy and even life coaching, I didn't really feel like I had clarity or direction of what God was doing or where he wanted me to move in regards to really healing from those things. And with Prayerpy, what makes it different is, yes, we do bring those things to the surface, but what ends up happening is every session is ended with a prophetic letter to you from God. Let's see if we can bring Cierra on. She's trying to come on now. But every session is which gives you the clarity, the direction, and the instructions missing from Cierra and life coaching before. Hello, Cierra.
Hi, Destiny. Can you hear me?
Yes, it sounds good. So it's just trying to Cierra.
Oh my gosh! I'm so excited that it works.
So this is Cierra, everyone. Asking questions all the time about what is, how it works, and it's amazing to hear from me. I feel like it's even better to hear from someone who has actually participated in my services. So I'm going to ask Cierra a couple of questions. And she's going to be very honest and transparent with you guys of what her experience was with therapy. So because we have a little bit of static, I'm just going to ask questions and let her take it away. So the first question is, Cierra, how do you find out about the prayer?
So, the funny thing is, Destiny and I were actually friends before God called her to doing Prayerpy as a service. And when I learned about, can you hear me? Okay. So when she told our group of friends that she was called to doing Prayerpy services for people, like for the public, I said, okay, of course I'm going to support as a friend. And I didn't know too much about it. I knew what the process was because she told us about it, but I didn't know what it really entailed. And so one day, just randomly, I had a dream, and Destiny reached out to me, and long story short on that, she offered to do a one-on-one session. And my first reaction was like, sure, I was going to do it anyway because I was going to support my friend. And it really went from there. I didn't have any other like background knowledge really on what it entailed for her one-on-one sessions, but of course I'm gonna support my friend. So I went into it without the expectation of what actually Prayerpy is, but that changed very quickly.
Right. So like Cierra said, she decided to give it a try, not really knowing what it was. But I have a setting over here, guys. So I'm not going to be too much talkative because I want you guys to hear everything that Cierra is saying. So I'm going to use the questions in the comment and let her answer them, just so you guys can really get everything that she's going to be speaking on today. So the next question is, what industries have you been trying the services outside of supporting your friend?
So that's a funny question because back when I'd say, I remember it was in February of like 2000, was it 17, 18? Had to be 17. And 18. I don't know. It was long before, again, she started the services or whatever. And she was telling us and her group of friends about how she was journal praying. And she explained the process. She explained how God would give her answers. She explained all these other things that came along with her communication and relationship with God. And from that point on, I knew that I wasn't in a place in my life that I was like, oh, this is absolutely where I want to be. This is absolutely the direction I want to go in. I even had some skepticism about my relationship with God at that point, because I felt lost. And so after she had told us her story, um, when she began offering the services, I was interested because I was like, well, I remember from back when she told us about journal praying, what it was like for her, like what the communication with her and God was. And I was actually desperate to improve my relationship with God. I was really desperate to get on the right track and find out what's going on, what direction I need to go in life. And at that point, I was just so tired with the direction I was going in that I was like, look, obviously I'm not doing a good job of making decisions here, so let me give to somebody who's already got this mapped out. And knowing and believing that, my that gift, and she was teaching other people, why not be a student as well so that I can get on the right track? So whether you're my friend or not, this just sounded like something, this was in the line of what I wanted for my life.
Amen. So I get a lot of people who are at that middle ground where they're like, this sounds interesting, but I'm kind of skeptical. So were you skeptical, and if so, why?
I don't think I ever had any skepticism, and that's more just because I have always had a relationship with God. It's just never been to the point that it is now. And so being given like the opportunity to improve and elevate that relationship, what did I have to lose? I was already miserable at my job. I was already trying one entrepreneurship idea after another, and they weren't working out. I was already doing everything. I was back in my Bible. I was back praying, but nothing seemed. Also, wasn't consistent with anything. So I wasn't ever skeptical. I just needed. I mean, I'm just like, this sounds like a good option, a good avenue, especially since I already knew that it was true. Like, there wasn't any weird feelings around it.
Right. So what did you
Knew you
go
had the
into
gift.
your first session expecting, and was it that or something different?
Oh my gosh. So I visually remember the night of our first session, and I didn't have any expectations because I tried to calm myself down. I was like, you're just talking to Destiny, like, it's nothing. So just go in with no expectations, right? So I went in and I just talked to you, just like we talk every day, right? And it wasn't until the journaling, and I had, because back up, you told me to journal for 3 days in a row. I did one, then I did half a day, then I didn't do it at all, and then we got delayed, so I had an extra day. And so I journaled while at the end of our one-on-one. And so when I started journaling, you were journaling at the same time to close out our session. And like I said, I went in with no expectations except to just be talking to my friend, like a venting session with my friend, right? And then you read the journal and everything, just that friend thing went out the window. This had nothing to do with anything. And it just checked, like, I literally was about to fall out of my chair, because you were right. Like, in the journal, you had some of the exact same things that I wrote in my journal. You had personal things about my husband and my marriage and my relationship with my mother, like all these things that you know nothing about. We're friends, but I'm not telling you the intimate details of my marriage or my familial relationships. And you definitely aren't, like, you hadn't met Anthony at the time, so you definitely didn't know anything that he was thinking. And the things that were in our journal, the journal prayer part, really no one would have known, because they were very deep thoughts of him and me. And it's just, yeah, so I had no expectations going in, but oh my, journal prayer, I was like, I signed up immediately for your course, for your prayer PFP course. I can't even get the words out right now, but yeah, that's how crazy it was.
And I'm glad that you're able to be here because you are my friend, and it makes it kind of difficult because, like you said, we share certain things with each other, but we don't dig deep, right? We don't share our most private things. And it puts me in a humble position to never feel like I'm doing something, right? Because God truly does reveal things that I don't even know about you guys, you know. But my next question is, what was your personal favorite part of the entire session?
Of the first one, or over the 30 that we've had?
Just in general. Yes.
My favorite, um, man, we've had like 30. I don't know. Honestly, what I love about doing one-on-ones is that initially, of course, I was coming for answers, and now, because I've grown in my relationship and the consistency has been there, the relationship has been building with God. Now I'm able to come to you more for confirmation. And I've had therapy before, like I've had regular therapy, I've had marriage counseling, things like that. But now it's on a whole different level, because it is really that therapeutic counseling component plus the Holy Spirit. Like that takes everything else out of it, because humans can tell you all day what the book that they studied in school said, and they can tell you all day what their personal experiences lead them to. They can tell you all day what they think you should do. But when you hear from the Holy Spirit, you know that you're going in the right direction, because that's part of your purpose and plan. And so whenever we have our one-on-ones, I feel like I'm getting closer and closer to God through that, through those one-on-ones. I would say probably my favorite would be whenever God gets super real, or he tells me, you know, hey, you're in your feelings, or hey, you need to fix this, or, you know, whenever he's like super transparent, those thoughts that I probably wouldn't have written down in my journal, because that sounds like you're convicting me a little bit, and I don't like it, you know?
Right.
But you get those in the journal print because you have someone who's non-biased, and the spirit is directly coming through, you know, that person. Well, you know? So I can't. We've had way too many sessions for me to choose a favorite. I'm sure I had one, but we've had so many, it's ridiculous.
Very true. We've been at this for quite a while now.
Since September of 2018.
You kind of touched on it, but my next question is actually going to be, do you feel like Prayerpy has helped you build a more intimate relationship with God?
Oh, absolutely. And one thing I do love is that initially, like I said, I was coming for answers, but then I got to the point where I wanted to be able to do this on my own. Like, I didn't want to feel like I was, one, abusing my friend's gift, you know, and then two, I also didn't want to feel like, God, I don't trust that you're talking to me, so let me go to this other person to talk to you for me. So it got to the point where I was like, God, I'm so desperate for your voice in my ear all day, every day, that I don't want to go to a third person. I don't want somebody else to have to tell me what your plans for me. I don't want a middleman all the time. I want to be able to talk to you just as anybody else would, right? So when I made that decision, it made my relationship go to a whole different level because God knew that I wasn't just trying to find quick, fast answers. You know, He knew that I really was after His heart and want to be in obedience and want to do things the way that He wants me to do them. So if it wasn't for starting off Prayerpy and making that decision because I was enjoying and like relishing in hearing His voice, if it wasn't for Prayerpy and getting those answers at first, then the confirmations, and then even to this point, almost checking myself to make sure that my emotions aren't getting in the way of what I'm hearing, that's how my relationship has grown because it's gone through those different stages.
Amen.
And all because of the one-on-ones.
And I'm glad that you touched on that because with what I do, it does come to a point where some people just come for that temporary feel or temporary fix. And it's really about being intentional about you building your own relationship with God. Because as you probably know, there are some sections where He doesn't give me every answer to every question you're asking.
Right.
And that's because He wants you to continue to give me enough for you to know that too. He's going to give you enough to let you know that He hears your prayer, but He's going to always redirect you to go to Him yourself.
Absolutely.
I'm glad that you touched on that.
Yeah.
So I know you've had a lot, but if you had to choose one huge transformative thing that has came from Prayerpy, what would it be?
Gosh. So, of course, the first one that comes to my mind is the night when He confirmed that I was pregnant, and you didn't want to tell me. That part, okay, that I think that was huge for the simple fact that it was like the catalyst for everything else that followed. And it was the catalyst for what made me even more hungry for wanting to hear His voice, because at that point I knew I heard Him because you just told me exactly what I heard the day before. And then it was what happened afterwards. Like that's one-on-one journal that I go back to frequently because He really gave me a lot in that one session. Not only did He confirm that I was pregnant, He also wanted to confirm that I trusted Him to a point that any normal person would have given up. Because He asked me like 3 times, "Do you trust me?" And I heard the seriousness and the sternness in that tone. And He was like, "This is when the storms are really going to come, but you have to stay close to me. You have to know that I'm your lifesaver." Like when he got serious in that last part of that one-on-one, I thought death was coming. I thought somebody was about to be like, I just thought it was crazy. Like, I had no idea what was going to come, but it made me really be serious about my prayer life and my communication with Him, because from that point on, I knew that something transformative was about to happen. And even though I've had several, like I said, one-on-ones since then, I've had several one-on-ones in general, that one-on-one, and then I'd probably say, sorry guys, but that one-on-one really built my trust and my dedication and loyalty and faith. Oh my gosh, my faith from that point really grew, and from that day on, it really did go up several notches of intensity in my life, and the tests and the one-on-ones that went afterwards were just, it was like icing on the cake. But that one-on-one where you when you confirmed that I was pregnant and He told me about the test coming and all of that, that literally changed everything.
Yes. So you said already a couple times that we've had multiple one-on-ones. So this one session is enough.
No, absolutely not. Because first of all, if you only do That's like taking a vitamin one time and being like, all right, I'm good. Or going to the gym one time and being like, ooh, I love these muscles. You don't have any. You still fat. No. Like, you have to be consistent. You have to keep going. And that's one thing that I say every time anyone asks about the sessions. I'm like, I've never been consistent about anything in my life other than waking up and going to sleep. And journal praying, because of the one-on-ones and because of PFP, have made me super consistent because I wanted that constant communication. Like, for all the things that God has done and the things that He's told me and He's revealed, again, originally I just wanted answers, but then I just wanted, then I wanted confirmation, you know? And if you only go for one session, you're really probably not going to get even the answers that you need, because I know you have more than one question, you know? So.
Right.
Right.
So my last
So
and
my
final
last and
question,
final
and
question,
thank you so much
and
again,
thank you so
Cierra,
much again,
is
Cierra,
would you
is
recommend
would you
these
recommend
services,
these
and if
services,
so,
and if
why?
so,
Or
why?
no, not why.
Or
I'm
no,
sorry.
not
And
why,
if so,
sorry.
to
And
what
if
type
so,
of
to what
person?
type of person? What type of person? Okay. So would I recommend these services? If I didn't recommend these services, you wouldn't be in my book. Let's start there. Because I literally tell everybody that this, you answering the call and your obedience to what God wanted you to do, even when you were scared, even when you were skeptical, even when you were just like, God, they ain't gonna bring me no money. Like, because back when He just wanted you to pray live, right? I told you, like, your journey has been what inspired me to be confident in this journey, right? And because I know you personally, but because we've learned even more about each other through doing the Prayerpy sessions, we know each other on a different level. So, and I can trust you because I've seen the vulnerability that He's put into you. Like, I've seen how He's like working through you. Like, it's almost like you're in Prayerpy yourself, you know? So this isn't like I know it all and I'm the one telling you what to do with your life. Like, no, God's working on me just as well as He's working on the people that He's having me serve. So I absolutely tell everybody about and recommend everybody at least trying your services one time, especially the people who come to me and they are in the same place I was, lost, want fulfillment, aren't happy, have 15 different directions of which way they want to go, but they're not sure. Like, you need clarity, and clarity is only going to come from the Holy Spirit. And if you don't have that relationship, then where else are you going to get it from? So this is at least a starting point. And if you do just have one session, at least it's a starting point. And then you saying to what type of people, like I just said, the people who are lost, people who, and I don't mean lost as in, oh my gosh, like I'm ready to give up on life lost. You could just be like, I'm tired of my job. You can be like, I'm tired of my family dynamic. You can be, I'm tired of my kids. You can be, I'm tired of my mom. Anyone who's just looking for an answer, this is the best place to start because you know that it is authentically, genuinely coming from the Holy Spirit. So I think that's my long answer for that.
Amen.
Amen.
Well, I
Well,
truly,
I
truly,
truly,
truly
truly,
want to thank
truly
you,
want to
Cierra, for
thank you,
your
Cierra, for
time.
your time.